In the far reaches of space, where stars flickered faintly like distant fireflies, a strange signal echoed quietly through the void. It was a call from a place no one had ever dared to explore, a hidden asteroid belt, dark and cold, where no one expected anything of importance to be found. But deep inside that rocky maze, something ancient and powerful lay asleep, waiting for the moment to awaken. This was no ordinary ship. It was a supercarrier, a vessel so enormous and mysterious that its very existence could change the fate of the entire galaxy. On Earth, a team of scientists at the Global Space Agency stared in disbelief as their instruments detected the massive object drifting among the asteroids. The ship was unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. Its hull was covered in strange markings that glowed faintly, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Some of the scientists believed it was a relic from a lost civilization. Others thought it might be a weapon left behind by an ancient war. But everyone agreed on one thing. This discovery was the beginning of something far bigger than they could imagine. Captain Mira Jennings stood in the control room of the newly built exploration ship Aurora, her eyes fixed on the holographic image of the supercarrier. She was one of the best space explorers Earth had, calm under pressure and ready for the unknown. The mission was clear. Reach the supercarrier, find out what it was, and if possible, bring it back to Earth. The whole world was watching. This was humanity's chance to step into the larger galaxy and prove that Earth was not just a small, weak planet. But no one could predict the dangers they would soon face. As the Aurora approached the sleeping giant, ship's crew prepared for the unexpected. The atmosphere inside the supercarrier was still and cold, like a tomb lost in time, yet the ship's systems were not completely dead. Tiny lights flickered in the dark corridors and soft hums echoed through its massive halls. It was as if the ship was waiting for something or someone to awaken it. Suddenly, without warning, the supercarrier began to stir. Lights flashed along its hull, and energy crackled through its systems like a storm waking from a long sleep. The asteroid belt around it seemed to shake, and distant sensors picked up a powerful burst of energy. Earth's scientists watched in amazement and fear. They had never seen a ship react like this before. The supercarrier was coming alive. Inside the Aurora, Captain Jennings felt a chill run down her spine. The ship's AI warned of rising energy levels and unknown signals being sent into deep space. The supercarrier was not just a relic, it was a living machine, linked to forces far beyond human understanding. The crew prepared for contact, unsure if the awakening would bring a friend or a threat. Then came the signal, a pulse so strong that it reached the farthest corners of the galaxy. It was a call that no one could ignore. Alien civilizations, listening quietly from their distant worlds, suddenly turned their attention to the newly awakened supercarrier. Some feared it, believing it to be a weapon of destruction. Others were curious, wondering if humanity had finally found a key to greater power. The galaxy was watching, and the balance of peace was suddenly fragile. Back on Earth, news spread like wildfire. The media called it the awakening, and people everywhere waited with bated breath. What was inside the supercarrier? Could Earth control such a powerful ship? And what did the galaxy's reaction mean for humanity's future? Meanwhile, deep within the supercarrier's command center, something unexpected happened. A strange connection formed between the ship and the human crew. The supercarrier's systems began to respond only to human touch and voice, almost as if it recognized them as its rightful pilots. Scientists discovered that the ship's controls were linked to human DNA, making Earth's people the only ones who could truly command it. This revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Was the supercarrier built for humans? If so, by whom and why? But as excitement grew, so did the danger. The awakening had not gone unnoticed by darker forces. From the shadows of distant star systems, alien spies and scouts moved toward Earth's location, sent by powerful empires who saw the supercarrier as a threat to their dominance. They were determined to seize the ship or destroy it before humanity could unlock its secrets. Captain Jennings and her crew found themselves caught in the middle of a silent war. Every move they made was watched. Every new system they activated drew closer attention from hostile eyes. The Supercarrier was a prize, worth fighting for, and the galaxy's most dangerous factions were ready to strike. Despite the danger, the crew worked tirelessly. They unlocked the Supercarrier's hidden weapons and shield systems, testing them carefully. The ship responded with power and precision unlike anything humans had built before. It was a fortress in space, equipped with technology that could change the rules of war and peace. But the crew knew one thing: with great power came great risk. One night, as the Aurora floated near the Supercarrier, an alarm suddenly blared. Sensors detected an incoming fleet, fast and deadly. The hostile ships were closing in, ready to attack and claim the Supercarrier for themselves. The crew scrambled to prepare defenses. The tension was thick. This was the true test the moment. To prove if humanity was ready for the challenges of the galaxy, Captain Jennings stood on the bridge. Her voice steady but firm. "We hold this ship. Earth's future depends on it." The crew nodded, fear mixed with determination. The unknown battle was about to begin. Outside the Supercarrier's hull shimmered as it powered up its ancient weapons. A brilliant light cut through the darkness of space, signaling to friend and foe alike, humanity had awakened, and it was ready to fight. In that moment, the galaxy changed forever. The Supercarrier was no longer just a sleeping giant. It was a symbol of hope, power, and a challenge to all who doubted Earth's place among the stars. The story had only just begun. The Supercarrier had awakened, but its true power was still a mystery. Earth scientists and engineers worked day and night, trying to understand the ancient ship's complex systems. Every day brought new surprises. The Supercarrier was not just a giant weapon or fortress. It seemed to be alive in a way no one had ever imagined. Its technology was connected to something deeper, something biological, something that could only respond to humans. Captain Mira Jennings and her crew had discovered a strange device inside the ship's control room. It looked like a console, but when Mira placed her hand on it, the ship reacted. Lights flashed and energy flowed through the corridors as if the ship was welcoming her touch. Further tests showed that the Supercarrier systems could only be activated by human DNA. No alien technology could control it. This discovery shocked everyone. Supercarrier was made for humans, designed for Earth's people alone. The implications were enormous. Earth suddenly had a weapon and a fortress unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was a power that could protect humanity for centuries, but it was also a target. The moment the galaxy learned that Earth controlled such a Supercarrier, fear and envy spread. Rival empires began to prepare for war. They sent spies, saboteurs, and even small attack fleets toward Earth's sector. The Supercarrier was a prize they would stop at nothing to claim or destroy. Back on the ship, the crew faced new challenges. The Supercarrier systems were advanced beyond human technology, but still partly broken from centuries of silence. Power surges shook the ship as engineers tried to stabilize its engines and weapons. Sometimes, strange voices whispered through the ship's communication channels, unintelligible at first, but growing clearer with each day. It was as if the ship was trying to speak, to share its ancient memories. Captain Jennings gathered her. Senior officers in the command room. "We are not just explorers anymore," she said quietly. "We have become guardians of something much greater than ourselves. The galaxy will not let us hold this power without a fight. We must be ready." As the days passed, the Supercarrier revealed more of its secrets. Its shields were nearly impenetrable, able to absorb and redirect attacks that would destroy entire planets. Its weapons could fire bursts of energy capable of wiping out entire fleets. But the most astonishing feature was a hidden core deep inside the ship, a power source. So strong it could fuel the Supercarrier for thousands of years without refueling. Earth's leaders debated how to use this power. Some wanted to keep the Supercarrier hidden, using it only as a last defense. Others saw it as a tool to push humanity into a new age of space conquest and leadership. But Captain Jennings warned against rushing into war. "We must learn the ship's full potential first." Our strength is not just in weapons, but in our unity and wisdom. The galaxy's response was swift and harsh. Alien factions sent diplomats, demanding Earth's surrender, the Supercarrier. They threatened war if humans refused. But Earth stood firm, refusing to give up the ancient ship that was their destiny. The tension grew like a storm on the horizon. One night, as the crew rested, an alert shattered the silence. An alien scout ship had slipped past Earth's outer defenses and was approaching the Supercarrier. The crew scrambled to defend their prize. Mira watched as the alien vessel fired warning shots. The Supercarrier responded with a warning beam, disabling the scout ship's engines without destroying it. The message was clear. Earth would not be an easy target. Inside the captured scout ship, human scientists found plans and messages revealing the galaxy's growing fear of the Supercarrier. Rival empires were preparing fleets for a full attack. Spies were already inside Earth's spaceports, ready to sabotage the Supercarrier before it could become fully operational, Captain. Jennings knew the real battle was still ahead. The crew trained harder, preparing for a war unlike any Earth had seen. Pilots tested new fighters built to launch from the Supercarrier's huge hangars. Engineers worked to integrate human weapons and alien technology. Every day was a race. Against time, despite the danger, there were moments of hope. The Supercarrier's AI began to awaken fully, showing flashes of ancient wisdom and guidance. It taught the crew how to use the ship's hidden features, revealing secret chambers and tools that could change the course of any battle. The ship became more than a weapon, it became a teacher and protector. But not all was well. Some crew members whispered of strange dreams. Visions of a great war from the distant past when the Supercarrier's original builders fought a terrible enemy. They spoke of warnings etched into the ship's walls, warnings about a cosmic force that could return to destroy everything. As these visions grew stronger, tensions rose within the crew. Some feared the Supercarrier's power might bring destruction rather than safety. Others believed it was humanity's destiny to lead the galaxy into a new era of peace and strength. Captain Jennings worked to keep her team united, knowing that their greatest weapon was not just the Supercarrier itself, but their hope and courage. One morning, Earth received an urgent message from a neighboring system. A small alien fleet was heading toward the Supercarrier's location, ready to strike. It was the first real test of humanity's new power. Captain Jennings stood on the bridge, her hands steady on the control panel, prepared to defend the Supercarrier. This is our moment to show the galaxy who we are. The battle that followed was fierce and unpredictable. Human pilots flew with unmatched bravery, using new tactics that surprised their enemies. The Supercarrier's shields absorbed devastating attacks while its weapons fired with deadly precision. The ancient ship seemed to come alive in the fight, responding to the crew's commands with speed and strength no one expected. In the end, Earth's forces emerged victorious, but the cost was high. Several ships were lost, and the battle left the Supercarrier damaged in places. But the message was clear to the galaxy. Humanity was no longer weak. They had awakened a power unseen before, and they would fight to keep it. As the crew repaired the ship, Captain Jennings looked out at the stars, her mind filled with questions. Who had built the Supercarrier? And why was it waiting for humans? What was the cosmic force that ancient warnings spoke of? And how would humanity face the challenges ahead? One thing was certain, the story of the Supercarrier was far from over. It was only the beginning of an epic journey that would test every strength, every hope, and every dream of humanity. The galaxy was watching, and Earth was ready to rise. The awakening of the Supercarrier had sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Earth was no longer a hidden blue planet lost among billions of stars, had become a force to reckon with. News of the Supercarrier spread fast through the networks of star systems, reaching the ears of kings, emperors, and warlords alike. Some viewed humanity as a new ally with immense potential. Others saw Earth as a dangerous threat that must be contained or destroyed. In the vast halls of the Galactic Council, representatives from dozens of powerful alien species gathered to discuss the growing challenge Earth now posed. The Council was the oldest political body in the galaxy, responsible for keeping peace and order among the stars. But no one had faced a rising power like humanity before. Their ancient laws and treaties did not prepare them for this moment. Earth's leaders received a formal invitation to join the Council and discuss the future of the Supercarrier. But the message was clear. Earth must either surrender the Supercarrier or accept the galaxy's rules and supervision. The Council feared that if Earth kept the ship unchecked, it could destabilize the fragile peace that had lasted for centuries. Captain? Mira Jennings listened carefully as her government debated their response. Some politicians saw the Council's demand as a threat and attempt to weaken Earth's newfound strength. Others worried about starting a war against dozens of advanced alien empires at once. The decision was difficult. Surrender meant losing control of the Supercarrier. Refusal risked total war. "We cannot give up what is rightfully ours," Mira said during a private briefing. "This ship is not just metal and weapons. It is our future, our hope. We must protect it, no matter the cost." The Council's envoys arrived on Earth soon after, their ships dark and imposing as they hovered above the capital city. Their leaders were cold and formal, speaking in measured tones but hiding sharp threats beneath polite words. They demanded access to the Supercarrier systems and insisted Earth hand over some control to the Galactic Council's representatives. Earth refused. The tension thickened. News outlets across the world broadcasted the standoff live, and citizens watched with a mixture of fear and pride. This was Earth's moment to stand tall, to show the galaxy that humanity would no longer be pushed aside. Meanwhile, strange visitors arrived from the shadows. A mysterious alien faction, unknown to most, sent a secret envoy to Earth offering an alliance. Their ships were sleek, and their technology was far beyond anything Earth had seen, but their motives were unclear, and suspicion ran deep. Could these newcomers be friends? Or were they waiting for a moment to strike? Captain Jennings met with the mysterious envoys in a hidden space station far from prying eyes. The meeting was tense. The aliens spoke of a shared enemy threatening the galaxy, and offered technology and knowledge in exchange for Earth's help. Mira listened, but knew better than to trust icily. The galaxy was full of secrets, and alliances often came with hidden costs. Back on the Supercarrier, engineers worked feverishly to integrate human and alien technology. Every day brought new discoveries and new dangers. The ship's ancient AI began to unlock systems that even Earth's scientists had not yet understood. Secret chambers, long sealed, opened to reveal powerful tools and weapons designed for battles on an unimaginable scale. But with every step forward, spies slipped closer to Earth's spaceports and research centers. Saboteurs struck in the night, disabling equipment and stealing vital information. The threat of betrayal was constant. Trust became a rare commodity. Captain Jennings ordered tight security and double checks. But she knew the real battle was not just against enemies in space, it was also within. Fear, suspicion, and the pressure of command weighed heavily on her crew. One day, an alarm shattered the calm. The Supercarrier sensors had detected a fleet approaching fast, more powerful than any seen before. It was an invasion force from one of the galaxy's oldest and fiercest empires, determined to take the Supercarrier by force. The battle that loomed was unlike anything Earth had faced. The crew scrambled to prepare. Pilots readied their fighters, engineers powered up the massive energy shields, and scientists activated experimental weapons. The Supercarrier's ancient systems hummed with renewed life. Ready to defend their new masters, Captain Jennings stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the incoming fleet. She knew that failure would mean the end of Earth's chance to rise among the stars. "We fight not just for this ship," she said, voice steady and clear. "We fight for humanity's future." As the enemy fleet closed in, the stars seemed to darken under the shadow of war. The Supercarrier glowed with power, a beacon of human determination and courage. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if Earth would stand or fall. In that moment, the epic challenge of humanity began, not just to survive, but to prove that they belonged in the galaxy's great story. The dark silence of space shattered in an instant. On the horizon, hundreds of alien warships advanced toward Earth's newly awakened supercarrier. The massive fleet was unlike anything humanity had ever faced, sleek, heavily armed, and driven by ruthless commanders determined to crush Earth's rising power before it could grow stronger. The tension inside the supercarrier was almost unbearable. Every crew member felt the weight of history resting on their shoulders. Captain Mira Jennings stood on the bridge, eyes sharp and voice steady. "This is our moment. Every second counts. We fight for our home, for our future, and for every soul on Earth." Around her, the crew worked like a well-oiled machine. Fighters launched from the carrier's hangars, energy shields powered up, and weapons systems hummed with deadly promise. The enemy fleet opened fire, sending waves of energy blasts toward the supercarrier shields. The massive ship rocked but held firm. Its ancient defenses, long silent, awoke with terrifying power. Energy barriers flared, absorbing the attacks and sending them back in crushing counterstrikes. The battle had begun, and it was a fight for survival. Human pilots soared out from the supercarrier, weaving through the chaos with fierce determination. Their fighters were smaller and fewer than the enemies, but they were quick, smart, and relentless. Many had never fought in space before, but their courage was unmatched. They used new tactics that surprised the alien commanders, striking weak points and protecting the carrier's vital systems. Inside the supercarrier, the crew worked feverishly to keep the ship's weapons firing. The massive energy cannon, secret weapon hidden deep within the ship's core, was powering up. It was said to be capable of destroying entire fleets with a single blast, but it took time to charge. Every moment was critical. As the battle raged, the supercarrier's AI began to share ancient knowledge with the crew, guided the weapons systems, revealed hidden defensive mechanisms, and helped predict enemy movements. It was as if the ship itself had returned to life not only as a machine, but as a guardian of humanity. Despite the strength of the supercarrier, the enemy was relentless. They sent waves of attack ships, boarding parties, and even tried to sabotage Earth's fighters. With electronic warfare, the battle was brutal and unforgiving. Many brave souls were lost, and every corner of the ship was tested to its limits. Then came a turning point. The supercarrier's massive energy cannon finally charged. A brilliant beam of light shot across space, cutting through the enemy fleet like a sword of fire. Entire warships exploded in a burst of flame and metal. The enemy faltered, shocked by the power unleashed against them. Seizing the moment, Captain Jennings ordered a full counterattack. Human fighters swarmed the enemy, using hit-and-run tactics to break their formations. The supercarrier shields glowed fiercely, protecting the ship as it moved with surprising speed through the battlefield. But the victory was not without cost. Damage tore through the supercarrier's hull. Alarms blared, and emergency crews raced to patch the breaches. The ship's ancient systems groaned under pressure, threatening to fail at any moment. The crew's endurance was pushed to the limit. Outside, the enemy fleet regrouped for one last desperate assault. Their leader, a ruthless alien commander known as Karanath, vowed to destroy the supercarrier or die trying. His ships closed in for a final strike, weapons blazing with deadly intent. Captain Jennings gritted her teeth. "Hold your positions. We will not fall today," Supercarrier responded as if alive, its systems pulsing with energy and power. Fighter squadrons intercepted the enemy's advance, while the ship's defenses unleashed a storm of fire in a final explosive clash. The supercarrier's weapons tore through Karnath's flagship, crippling the enemy fleet's command. Without their leader, the enemy ships faltered and began to retreat. The battle was won. As silence returned to space, the supercarrier floated battered but unbroken. The crew cheered, exhausted but proud. They had faced the greatest threat humanity had ever known and survived. Captain Jennings stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. "This is only the beginning. Galaxy knows Earth is here, and we will never be ignored again." The supercarrier's glow seemed to pulse with agreement, a symbol of hope, strength, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. But even as victory settled, shadows moved in the distance. The battle had awakened old enemies and new dangers. True war for the galaxy was just beginning. The echoes of the battle still lingered in the vast corridors of the Supercarrier. Though victorious, the crew knew that their fight was far from over. As they worked to repair the damage and strengthen their defenses, the ship itself seemed to hum with new energies, if awakened not only to fight, but to reveal hidden truths. Captain Mira Jennings and the science team gathered in the command center, eager and anxious to unlock the mysteries buried deep within the ancient vessel. Days earlier, while exploring a sealed chamber hidden beneath layers of metal and energy shields, they had discovered a vast archive of data. The information was stored in strange crystalline forms, glowing softly with a light that pulsed like a heartbeat. As scientists carefully interfaced their equipment with the crystals, a flood of images, symbols, and recordings poured forth. Memories of a long-lost civilization that had built the Supercarrier. The data told a story of greatness and tragedy. The ancient builders were a powerful alien race, far older than any known species in the galaxy. They had created the Supercarrier as a fortress and weapon to defend against a threat so terrible it had nearly wiped out their entire civilization. This cosmic enemy was something no one had ever faced before. Force beyond space and time itself. Something dark and relentless. Captain Jennings listened closely as the chief scientist explained. This threat is described as a void entity, being or force that consumes stars, planets, even entire civilizations. The Supercarrier was designed to fight and contain it, but the builders failed. Their world was destroyed and the Supercarrier was hidden here to wait for the right time, and the right beings to wield its power. The revelation chilled everyone. The warnings carved into the ship's walls, the strange voices in the corridors, even the visions some crew members had experienced stall, now made sense. The Supercarrier was not just a weapon. It was a beacon, a last hope against the darkness, that could return at any moment. Yet the data also spoke of hope. There were plans to upgrade the ship, to awaken new defenses, and to build alliances strong enough to face the void entity. But those plans had been lost in time, waiting for a new generation to discover them. Earth's leaders faced a difficult choice. Should they prepare for a war against a threat they barely understood? Could humanity unite the galaxy to face a danger bigger than any empire or race? The answers were unclear, but the Supercarrier's power was the key, as engineers worked to access the Supercarrier's hidden systems. The AI, the ship's ancient consciousness, began to communicate more clearly. It shared knowledge of advanced weaponry, defense grids, and star mapping technologies that could track the void entity's movements across the galaxy. The ship was no longer just a fortress. It was a guide and protector. But this knowledge came with a warning. Supercarrier systems detected unusual energy readings far beyond known space. The void entity was awakening. Its presence was growing stronger, and time was running out. Captain Jennings gathered her crew for a briefing. "We have been given a gift and a responsibility," she said. "This ship is more than our weapon. It is our shield against a threat no one else can face. We must prepare, not just to defend Earth, but to protect all life in the galaxy." The announcement sparked urgency. Scientists and engineers pushed their work faster, upgrading weapons, reinforcing shields, and training crews for a new kind of war. Humanity was no longer just defending itself from alien empires. It was preparing to face a cosmic terror. Meanwhile, the galaxy watched with a mix of fear and hope. Some species sent envoys to Earth, offering help or demanding a place in the fight. Others plotted to use the coming chaos for their own gain. The delicate balance of power began to shift once again. Despite the pressure, Captain Jennings remained focused. She knew that leadership meant more than commands. In battle it meant building trust and unity. She reached out to former rivals, seeking alliances that could turn enemies into friends. The Supercarrier, with its power and mystery, became a symbol of hope in a galaxy shadowed by fear. But shadows lurked closer than anyone realized. Within Earth's own ranks, whispers of doubt and fear grew louder. Some believed the supercarrier's power was too great, too dangerous. Could humanity control a weapon built for a war beyond their understanding? Or was this power a curse that might destroy them all? These questions haunted Mira as she stood on the bridge looking out at the stars. The supercarrier pulsed gently. Beneath her feet, a giant heart beating with ancient energy and new life. The epic tale of humanity's supercarrier was far from over. It was now a story of courage, hope, and the fight against a darkness no one could ignore. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had unlocked a power unseen before, and the galaxy would never be the same. The cosmic threat that had haunted the supercarrier's ancient memories was no longer just a warning. It was real, and it was coming closer. Dark waves of energy pulsed through distant star systems, devouring light and life alike. The void entity, nightmare that had destroyed the supercarrier's original builders, was stirring once more. The galaxy faced a choice: unite and fight, or fall apart and be consumed. Captain Myra Jennings stood before a new gathering this time, not just Earth's leaders, but representatives from alien species who had answered the call for unity. Former rivals, cautious allies, and curious observers crowded the great hall aboard the supercarrier, their faces marked by fear, hope, and determination. The supercarrier was no longer just a weapon of humanity. It was a symbol of a new alliance, a beacon of resistance against the darkness. Earth had extended hands across the stars, and slowly the galaxy had reached back. The ancient ship, now fully powered and alive with human and alien technology combined, was transformed into the flagship of a coalition unlike any the galaxy had seen. Ships from many worlds docked within its massive hangars, pilots trained side by side, and scientists shared knowledge freely. It was an era of cautious peace built on a fragile trust, but peace was hard-won and fragile. Many feared the cosmic terror looming beyond the known reaches. The supercarrier's sensors scanned the dark edges of space endlessly, searching for signs of the void entity's approach. Every day brought reports of star systems lost, swallowed by shadows that no weapon had yet stopped. Captain Jennings knew the final test was near. The supercarrier and its crew would lead the fight not only to save Earth, but to protect the entire galaxy. She walked the corridors, speaking with pilots, engineers, and diplomats, her presence a steady anchor amid rising fear. "We are more than just warriors," she reminded them. "We are the hope for all who call the stars home." As the coalition prepared, the supercarrier's AI revealed one last secret: a hidden pathway through space. A shortcut through dangerous cosmic storms that could bring them closer to the void entity before it could strike. It was a chance to take the fight to the enemy, but also a risk that could cost everything. The day came when the coalition fleet left the safety of known space. The supercarrier led the way, its massive engines glowing with power, shielded by layers of defense, both ancient and new. Pilots manned their stations, hearts pounding with a mix of fear and determination. This was the moment to prove humanity's true strength, not just in weapons, but in unity and courage. The journey was treacherous. Cosmic storms lashed the fleet, strange creatures lurked in shadows, and the very fabric of space seemed to twist and bend. But the supercarrier's crew pushed forward, guided by the ancient wisdom and new alliances forged in the heat of battle. Finally, the void entity appeared in enormous shadow, dark and shifting, swallowing light and hope. The coalition's fleet spread out, ready to fight for every star, every planet, every life. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had seen. Energy clashed with darkness. Courage faced the unimaginable. The supercarrier fired its weapons with precision, guided by the ancient AI and the resolve of its human crew. Allied ships joined in a fierce dance of survival and resistance. Amid the chaos, Captain Jennings stood firm on the bridge, commanding her crew with calm strength. "Hold the line, protect each other. We fight as one." The fight was brutal and long. Many ships fell. Many heroes were lost. But the supercarrier held strong, a beacon of light in the consuming darkness. Slowly, the void entity's advance was pushed back, beaten by the combined strength of the galaxy's new alliance. When the final blast faded and silence returned, the Coalition knew they had won a great victory but not the final war. The void entity had retreated, but it was still out there, waiting. The Supercarrier had become a symbol of hope, courage, and the power of unity across the stars. Captain Jennings looked out at the stars, the weight of victory and responsibility heavy on her shoulders. "This is our new dawn," she said softly. "Together, we will protect the galaxy. Together, we are unstoppable." The Supercarrier pulsed gently beneath her feet, alive, powerful, and ready for whatever the future held. Humanity had risen, not alone, but as a leader among the stars. Their epic tale was just beginning.